The film opens with some firefighters putting out multiple fires in a Brazilian town, where a notorious organization had previously held a dangerous tournament of life and death. We catch a glimpse of the tournament, in which our lead, Joshua Harlow, manages to eliminate every other opponent to win the tournament, along with a $10 million cash prize up front. 7 years after the first tournament, we are shown an Asian player named Lai Lai Jen entering her hotel room, where she consumes a strange substance and faints. The scene shifts to a drunken priest named McAvoy, who gets kicked out of a bar for not having enough money to pay his tab. Up next, we are shown the shady organization, in which a group of hackers is tasked to occupy a large area in the United Kingdom by cutting off its means of communication, hacking all of its surveillance cameras, and scrambling its radio signals so no one gets in or out of that particular area, where they will conduct the tournament. Once everything is in place, the host, Powers, welcomes the spectators of the tournament, who happen to be elites from all around the world. The elites start placing bets when Powers introduces this year's players on the big screen, revealing Joshua to be reappearing in the tournament. Along with Joshua, some big players like Lai Lai Jen, Anton Bogart, Yuri Petrov, and Miles Slade have also participated in this year's tournament. When the players are brought to the occupied area, a team of employees in the organization activates tracking devices that are planted inside the players. According to the tournament's rules, the trackers will explode and automatically kill the players if they don't eliminate players until there is one left to claim victory. The tournament begins with Jen, who wakes up in an unfamiliar hotel room. She is given a phone, through which she is allowed to track other players. Suddenly, the surveillance crew spots a notorious player named Steve Tomko arriving outside Jen's hotel room. Steve knocks on Jen's door and offers her room service, but he shows up on Jen's tracking radar. Hence, Jen takes out her gun and opens the door immediately. Steve attacks her from behind and tries to kill her, but Jen overpowers him soon and takes the headshot, killing Steve in an instant. Powers and the elites are seen celebrating the first death and taking out Steve's name from the players list while praising Jen's quickness. Next, the surveillance team activates the hacked street cameras after spotting a cluster of players there. 2 players are spotted outside a coffee shop, where Anton is hiding inside a bathroom stall. There, he goes against the rules and takes out his tracking device that is deep within his flesh. He tosses the device in a coffee pot, not knowing that the coffee is about to be served to Father McAvoy. McAvoy unintentionally swallows the device and comes on the player's radar. Anton doesn't want him to die in his place, so he starts guarding him from a distance. When McAvoy steps outside, the 2 players aim for him simultaneously. One player is on the roof with the sniper, and the other one is in a car on the street. The sniper shoots the car player first and aims for McAvoy next, but Anton shoots her first. Unaware of his involvement in the tournament, McAvoy heads to an empty church and gets on his knees to atone for his sins, only to relapse and continue drinking again. Suddenly Jen appears out of nowhere, presumably taking shelter in the church. Since the players rely on tracking devices instead of faces, Jen mistakes McAvoy for a player and intends to kill him. Suddenly Yuri arrives at the church with his grenades. After detonating multiple grenades, he comes for McAvoy first. Jen has her doubts, so she saves McAvoy by attacking Yuri. Despite her fast reflexes, she gets beaten up by Yuri, who is a former Russian militant with great fighting skills. At one point, Yuri grabs Jen and dips her face in the holy water basin to kill her, but McAvoy gets a hold of Yuri's gun and points it at Yuri. He gets distracted for a nanosecond, which allows Jen to pull the pin from Yuri's grenade. She immediately runs away from him and watches him explode into a million pieces when the grenade detonates. Once Yuri is out of the way, Jen starts interrogating McAvoy and checks him for weapons, only to realize that he's an innocent priest who is not aware of the tournament. Jen becomes perplexed and fails to comprehend how McAvoy got on their tracking radar in the first place. Unlike her, the organization becomes aware of Anton's actions and makes Powers aware of his disappearance. Powers orders the surveillance team to manually find Anton and not to lose sight of him on the surveillance monitors. Back in the tournament, we finally see Joshua. He takes a player at gunpoint and interrogates him about the man who killed his wife. The player mentions Miles, after which Joshua shoots him in the head and moves on. Contrary to him, Miles is seen killing a player and taking out his frustration on the player's dog by killing it as well. He turns out to be a psychopath who enjoys killing people and collecting souvenirs such as fingers. On the other hand, Jen and McAvoy find a phone booth, from which they call Powers. Jen describes McAvoy's situation and requests help to escort McAvoy out of there. Powers breaks it to Jen that he's added McAvoy to the players list, so she must kill him to win the tournament. This decision leaves Jen in a moral dilemma. Suddenly, a crazy player runs their booth over with her car. Jen saves McAvoy once again and blows the car's front tire with her gun. The car immediately topples and crashes, allowing Jen and McAvoy to run away. Instead, McAvoy decides to save the girl from the crashed car. When he goes near her, she tries to shoot him, but Jen shoots her first. McAvoy loses his sense of serenity and demands an explanation for whatever he's being dragged into. With the little time she has, Jen quickly familiarizes him with the concept of the tournament and how he got dragged into it without his consent. Amidst Jen's confession, the dead player's car explodes and stuns the pedestrians who were around the car. Suddenly, a police vehicle stops near them. McAvoy gets relieved and decides to involve the cops, but the cops get shot by Anton, who arrives with his sniper on a rooftop. Since he knows McAvoy has been included in the players' list, he intends to shoot him next, but Jen becomes McAvoy's official protector and flees with him in the police car. Anton chases them and continuously takes shots at their car, during which McAvoy recognizes him from the coffee shop and figures he was the one who tossed his tracker in the coffee. The scenes revert to the psychotic Miles, who barges into a strip club where multiple assassins are taking shelter. Not caring about the public, he opens fire on everyone. He effectively shoots down 5 players, but at the cost of taking multiple lives of the civilians who were in the club. Joshua shows up at the strip club and finally confronts Miles about killing his wife. Suddenly, a stripper jumps Joshua and stabs him in the shoulder. Miles also creates unnecessary noise and starts shooting at Joshua. Joshua gets hit in the lower abdomen and faints for a while. On the other hand, we see Jen and McAvoy successfully escaping in the police car without getting chased by any players. Soon Joshua regains consciousness and finds himself cuffed to a pole and the crazy Miles aiming for his fingers. While smiling manically, Miles starts to cut Joshua's fingers. While he's doing that, he shifts the blame for his wife's assassination onto Jen and clears his own name. Just when he plans to kill Joshua, Joshua begs for a sip of alcohol as his dying wish. Miles is dumb enough to grant his wish. He lets him take a sip from the bottle without realizing that Joshua is reserving it in his mouth instead of gulping it. When Miles takes out his lighter to light up his cigar, Joshua seizes the opportunity to spit the alcohol on the lighter. It immediately catches fire and burns Miles to death. Joshua immediately frees himself and sets out to find Jen. We are shown on the screen that there are 18 players left, and they have 6 hours remaining to bring down the numbers from 18 to 1. While Jen and McAvoy peacefully drive around to avoid coming in contact with the other players, multiple players kill one another and bring down the player count from 18 to 6. Jen stops by a gas station to purchase some laxatives for McAvoy so she can flush the tracker out of his stomach. Out of nowhere, a severely burnt Miles attacks McAvoy outside the station. Luckily, Jen witnesses this and runs outside to save McAvoy. She fights Miles and brings him inside the station's grocery store, where McAvoy convinces her not to kill in the name of God. As she gets convinced, Powers and the organization get bummed out and activate the detonator in Miles' tracker. In no time, the detonator explodes and blows Miles into pieces. Powers then calls on the store's landline and personally talks to McAvoy to corrupt his soul. He urges McAvoy to start killing other players for his survival and the final reward, but McAvoy doesn't get blinded by his dirty money. Deep down, Powers gets offended to realize that he can't turn the good into bad with his power, so he makes sure McAvoy dies. He diverts all the remaining assassins towards the station. Left alone for a while, McAvoy takes the laxatives and waits for the tracker to flush out of him in the bathroom. Jen sits in the stall next to his and confesses to feeling terribly guilty for killing an innocent woman, Joshua's wife, for a large sum of money. While McAvoy asks her to atone for her sins, Jen checks her phone and finds out that the remaining assassins have arrived at the station. The second they run towards their police car, an assassin launches a bazooka at them. Though, he suddenly gets run over by a double-decker bus. The bazooka targets the police car and causes a huge explosion. Jen and McAvoy kick out the double-decker's driver and drive away in it. Joshua gets hold of an oil tanker, in which he angrily pursues Jen's double-decker. While McAvoy drives the bus, Jen fights Anton, during which she grows weak. McAvoy takes sharp turns to push Anton out of the bus, and he succeeds at last. Joshua crashes his tanker into the bus's rear, which ends up blowing the tanker's tires and toppling the oil tank. This causes another huge explosion on the road, killing Anton and many innocent pedestrians. Jen and McAvoy escape successfully and take shelter in a church, where Joshua tracks them down and angrily confronts Jen for killing his wife. She lets him know that it was only a contract issued by Powers, so Joshua stabs her and makes it look like he's killed her. The organization declares him the winner and brings him back to celebrate his victory. There, he gets Powers to confess that he got his wife killed to lure him back into the tournament. Now furious, he grabs Powers by the mouth and makes him swallow Jen's tracker, revealing that he had only stabbed Jen to take out her tracker. Since there is not a single winner by the end of the match, the trackers explode on their own, killing Powers and Joshua. As we see Jen taking final breaths in McAvoy's arms, the film ends.
Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more awesome recaps.